Detroit Lions fans, welcome in. Welcome back to the Detroit Den with Steve. I got another one of those feel-good stories for you. The other day when I did an episode on Mitchell Agude, who, if you have not seen that, has the most impressive Detroit Lions story of any player on this roster. I am going to tag that video at the end of this one. I promise you, this kid has a phenomenal story, Mitchell Agude, that is. But that's not who I'm talking about today. Once I started doing my homework on Mitchell, I started diving into some of these undrafted free agents a little more. And I know it's a quiet time for Detroit Lions right now, but a lot of people are reaching and wanting to talk about some crazy stuff. But I got a list of episodes I want to talk about, and shame on me for not mentioning Isaac Ukwu just yet. It's been a minute since he's been signed. I've had him on my radar. Finally got a little bit of time to get into it. So if you guys aren't familiar with Isaac Ukwu out of Ole Miss, this kid's seasoned. I'm just gonna say that to be nice. I'm not here to be mean. The old boy's. He's been ventured. Started his college career back in 2017 at James Madison University, and then transferred to Ole Miss in 2023. So, if you're doing the math, you're wondering, how's a kid get six years in college? Well, knee injuries, COVID, a couple knee injuries in 2019 and 2020, didn't play at all. 2021, he kind of started to show what he could do. He played, I think, 11 games and had 7.5 sacks, if my notes are accurate. Not bad. That's a nice little stat line for a college defensive end / outside linebacker. 7.5 sacks at JMU. Another, when he transferred to Ole Miss, he had 3.5 last season. So this kid isn't exactly like putting up eye-popping numbers. Going against SEC competition, 3.5 sacks is... It's below average, in my opinion. It's below average. But when I look at the skills and the technique and the athleticism, again, it's not popping off the charts. It's not anything that you want to write home to your mother about. But it's not terrible. It's at least worth what the Detroit Lions did. They paid their due diligence. I think they paid like $35,000 to sign him. To you, I'll tell you now, you give me $35,000. It's not life-changing money, but it's like, okay, it's comfortable for a little bit, I guess is a nice way to put it. Like, it's not, hey, Steve Perkins is riding off into the sunset and he's buying beachfront property down in Florida anytime soon. But I would be pretty okay with $35,000. So that's what they paid to get him into town. So they did invest some money. And again, for the Ford family, $35,000 is like a trip to Arby's for you and me. So it's really just a drop in the bucket. Isaac Ukwu's path kind of reminds me a little bit of, not entirely, don't get your nails out and your crosses and come to my front yard and try to crucify me. The path kind of reminds me of one of James Houston of the Detroit Lions. Went to one of those smaller colleges, James Houston coming from Jackson State, going to Florida, being somewhat successful at Florida. And again, he didn't put up eye-popping numbers either. So that's why I feel like it's at least similar. It's kind of a close situation. I don't know. You guys let me know how you feel in the comments. I was also listening to an interview from Sports Talk Mississippi when I was trying to look up Ukwu information. There's really there's really just not a lot out there. It's very, very far and few in between. Like, his highlights are hard to find. I know it's James Madison University. It's not like a huge college. I don't know if they're putting out a lot of highlight tape for a lot of their kids or what, but it was hard to find. But I did stumble across this interview from Super Talk Mississippi, and I'm assuming from listening to it that they are associated or they cover the Ole Miss Rebels college football team in some aspect. And they're asking him questions about his draft process and like what he's going through. And I wish they would have asked some different questions, but I'm just kind of going off the information that they gave me, I guess. So at the combine, I guess he was kind of asked, like, what he was going to do. And it sounded like he said, I'm guaranteeing you I'm going to knock out 30 reps on the bench press of 225. Sounded very confident. He got 29. So he's strong. He's got some power there. If he can learn some finesse moves, some pass rush, and again, you will never hear me come on this podcast or this show and talk about a defensive lineman and not mention the name Terrell Williams. If you don't know who that is, new Detroit Lions defensive line coach, best in the business, came over from the Tennessee Titans. Let him get his hands on Isaac. Let's see what can happen. Let's see if he can pull something out. Let's see if there's some talent there. You don't go to the SEC without talent. Like, you can be big, physical, strong all day. If you don't have a lick of football talent, you're not going to play football. You're especially not going to play football in one of the meccas of college football, that being the SEC. So there's some talent there. Let's get Terrell Williams to just bring him in. Let's see what he's really, really good at. Start from there. We want to coach this kid up. I feel like you need to take your strengths and amplify them. His strengths is power. I don't see over athleticism when it comes to speed or like a first step off the defensive line, but he is powerful, kind of like James Houston, man. James Houston, he's got a little bit of a speed though. So I will say this about James. He's got some power. If you've ever seen his pictures, man, that dude is jacked. And he's got a nice little pro step move that he does. But again, it's on tape. So we'll have to see how this year pans out for him. But when it comes to Isaac, I want to see what Terrell Williams can really pull out of him and see if there's something there. It's something to at least keep an eye on in training camp. So let's get into what Isaac's role will be with the Detroit Lions. Look, it's hard for me to I'm not here to shoot down a kid's dreams, but I feel like he's absolutely a long shot to make this team. Our defensive line is mostly set for our starters, Davenport, Aleem McNeil, DJ Reader, Aiden Hutchinson. And then we've talked a lot about some backup guys who are going to be coming in. Pascal, Kaminsky, James Houston, who I've mentioned, Matthew Betts. There's probably a handful of others just off the top of my head. Levi Onwuzurike, Broderick Martin. Like, our defensive line room is our first two waves, I feel like, are pretty set. So for Isaac Ukwu to make this team, I feel like he is a long shot. Now, I would like to see him on the practice team because, it's the NFL. There's some big boys, big, fast boys out there. Injuries happen. Can I see Isaac making the practice team? Yes, because I don't know if there's enough out there for another team to sign him and put him on their active roster at the end of our training camp. But we'll have to see. This is all just speculation. I don't like doing speculative videos, but it's kind of just the boat I have to be in with Isaac. And long shot, I don't think he makes the Detroit Lions. I do think we can sign him to our practice team because I just don't think he's going to wow anyone and have someone like the Arizona Cardinals call him and be like, hey, man, we want you on our 53 roster. So I can see Isaac ending up on our practice squad. Not a bad problem to have. He'll still get coached up. He'll still get experience the NFL lifestyle and how to be a pro, all that, more time with Terrell Williams. That's where I see Isaac finally ending up. Now, like I said, injuries happen. Is there a situation where maybe we have three defensive ends who are out, like a Marcus Davenport, Kaminsky, Pascal, maybe all three of those guys are banged up and we have to bring up Isaac Ukwu from the practice squad? Can he be dependable? Maybe. I don't know. That's not for me to decide. That's for Aaron Glenn, Terrell Williams, and eventually, essentially Dan Campbell. That's for those guys to decide. But I feel like that's the path for Isaac Ukwu. Look, there's nothing wrong with the NFL practice squad. You make a damn good living there. All right. You're still playing football. You're still making better money than if you were to be working at somewhere else around town. So there's nothing wrong with it. And who's to say that maybe we don't see him halfway through the season if someone gets banged up? I don't know, guys. But when it comes to doing this kind of stuff, I try to be gentle. I'm not trying to say that he's trash or anything. Like, he's got some skill. I want to see if Terrell Williams could pull it out and we can see what he can do. So someone to keep an eye on in training camp. For me, long shot. Does he make the team? No, I eventually think he will be a practice teamer, but leave it in the comments. Let me know how you feel about him. Stick around, guys. I'll be back later with another show.